I was sitting here one night, and I'd fallen asleep watching television, and then all of a sudden I was had kind of a jolt awake, and I said, "Oh, what's that?" And Dad was kneeling by me by the chair, and he was considerably younger. He came back as he would have many years ago, and he just looked at me and he was smiling, and then it was very quickly over. But I do have the feeling that he was here, and he was and that he is here with me, and I'm waiting for another opportunity to see him again.
There are certain things that really, hit you where you sort of go from the maybe believing to the really, knowing. And this was an instance where we had some close friends of ours, and our friends Linda and Joe, and Linda's mom, Mackie, had been a breast cancer survivor, and she was doing very, very well, for a 10-year period. And one day Linda called up her mom, and she sensed in her mom's voice that something wasn't right. So she immediately drove to the house, picked her up, and her doctors were in Manhattan. She lives in Long Island. But instead of calling an ambulance, she said the quickest way is I'm just going to put her in the car and drive her straight into Manhattan. And on the way she called the doctor, and the doctor said, when you get there, just have them admit her to a room, and then, I'm on my way. And when they got to the hospital, that's what they did. But Linda said by the time they got to the hospital, her mother was virtually incoherent. She wasn't comatose, but she didn't know where she was, what her name was, and this was bad. So they admitted her to a room, and then while they were prepping her, the nurse said, said to my friend Linda, can you please wait outside for 10 minutes while we prep her, and then I'll call you back in. So after 10 minutes, they called her back in, and the way Linda tells the story, she saw her mother, who 10 minutes earlier was virtually a vegetable, not knowing anything, sitting up in bed and exuberantly talking to the nurse. So she just quietly sat down, and the nurse was telling her all about my daughter Bailey. She saw Bailey, she was describing her, she was telling her all about her, about her life. And this went on for 10 minutes, and then Mackie closed her eyes, fell off into unconsciousness, and then passed away a couple of hours later on Bailey's birthday. Now, this was, to me, was especially significant because even when I step back and I look at it, Bailey saw Mackie, even though they both liked each other very much, she saw her once a year. And, Mackie lost her husband, she lost her siblings, she had many grandchildren of her own. If this was the product of some hallucination, why would she be seeing my daughter? It didn't make any sense to me. And then it sort of hit me that all these things that I had been reading about having help when you cross over, or people coming to greet you, is very likely is true, because I just couldn't think of any other explanation.